What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? This is I'm Just Saying, and we're coming back to you with another two topics today. Today, we're going to discuss some political issues. First, we're going to show you a clip that Joy-Ann Reid did on her show. Well, it wasn't on her show. It was some coverage they did on the Republican debate, I think, that we wanted to discuss, talk about politics a little bit. And then we want to talk a little bit about, I just happened to find there's a new ESPN show. It's called Skin in the Game, and it's hosted by Ibram X. Kendi, and he discusses with athletes and others, what's up with politics and sports. We're going to get into that. Coming next. What up? What up?
Yep.
Here we are on episode 7. What? Episode 7.
Headed to our double digit episode, season 2.
Yes, season 2. All right, so I think we should start with the Joy Reid comment, but in order to get everybody clued in, I think they need to see the clip first. So if you can, Jason, roll it.
Conversation that we need to have that isn't really just about the Republicans. Like, are we at the end of politics? Because, it is a really brilliant point that the Republican Party exists in a world in which demographically 6 out of the 7 last presidential elections, they can't win the popular vote because demographically and the dispersion of multiracial communities makes it very hard for them to win through conventional politics. The things they want to do, ban abortion, highly unpopular. When you put it through politics, you put it through an election, they can't win that. The things they want to do on guns, 70 some odd % of Americans don't agree with it. So they have to force these things through anti-democratic means. Voter suppression is the only way. Gerrymandering is the only way they can actually get what they want, because what they want is so unpopular that when you put their ideas through the political process, they can't win. And the frustration and the rage, not being able to ban all immigrants and get all the quote unquote illegals out. You can't do it, right? Because logistically it's impossible. It's also unpopular, ruins businesses in Florida. So if you think about it, all of politics has enraged a certain group of Americans who cannot win through politics. And so what do you go to? You go to autocracy. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask Bruce is, and this is, you're the political analyst on, and I'm just saying, what Joy is saying in my assessment is, if we put simple things through the political process, which would be voting, which is what our foundation is, by the people, for the people, okay, let's just vote. Let's vote to see. What Joy is saying is that there's a certain amount of people as Republicans are saying, we're not doing that. So what we're going to do, we know that we're going to lose this the Democratic way, not the Democrats' way, just the Democratic way of putting it through the vote. And if it's majority rule, the people have said that this is what this is going to be. They're seeing that and saying, we're not doing that. So the anti-democratic way is the gerrymandering. Let's do that, because we will continue to stall things in Senate, in Congress, and all of these things. And my thing is, if you are not for the democratic way of doing things, you're going to have to find something else to do, because if this is the foundation of what we're built on, your concept is the minority concept. Now, understand something. The minority concept is what runs our society. Money. Most people are not filthy rich. So that's going to become if you're conscious, Republicans, if you're really conscious of this, and you're getting a sect of people that begin to do this, knowing that the majority doesn't feel what you feel. The majority wants to take this to process. Let's do it the right way, which she said also, let's start talking about voter fraud, all of that stuff. Nah, you won based on what? The way we've been doing things, which has been by voting. So I wanted to understand I want to hear what you say to that, that we're running into a,
Yes.
that's not going to be good politics, if you will, if you're promoting this ideology, if you will.
Yes. And it is an ideology. I'll put it to you this way. I think what Joy is saying, first of all, I always say this. Joy is talking about race. She's talking racial politics without saying white. I think we need to stop doing that. I agree with what she's saying, but she's, beating around the bush instead of being specific about what she's talking about. And maybe she can't based on, where she's working at MSNBC. What Joy Reid is saying is that Republicans are a majority white party. I'm going to say it. They're a majority white party. They know that the demographics of America is changing. It's no longer going to be majority white. They know that. They've been known that. Case in point, Republicans in the last 7 presidential elections, has only won the popular vote once in the last 7 presidential elections. So they know that their majority, what used to be a white majority, is shrinking and is almost gone. They know that just by the numbers. So how do you continue to keep your white power knowing you're going to lose votes? How do you do that? You gerrymander, meaning that you keep your majority of power, even if you lose the political, the masses for politics doesn't vote for you. There are states right now where even if Democrats win 60% of the vote statewide,
right,
Republicans will still have control of the state house. They will still have control even when they lose 60% of the vote. They'll have more senators, they'll have more representatives, which means they continue to do what they want to get done, even though they're losing popular votes. That's why you have all this gerrymandering in Alabama. They don't want to give another black district. That's why there's a lot of these states. For instance, there are like Montana, for instance. Montana's population is not even close to New York City.
Sure.
But Montana gets a senator and New York gets a senator. You see what I'm saying? Even though they have vastly different populations. So the electoral college is a way for whites to keep power even when they're losing the popular vote. So she's basically what Joy Reid is saying. We are becoming apartheid South Africa, where even though you had a majority black population, whites kept control. And not only are whites keeping control, they're trying to make laws so that they pad their control so you can't get to it. And then they are following people like Donald Trump, who are not trying to do it by voting. They want to overturn elections even when they know they've lost it. They want to take black votes away, not count black votes. That's what's happening in the Republican Party. That's what they're doing.
Bruce, tell me, I want you to tell me more, because I want you to back up a little bit and say and talk to our listeners and viewers about this. Are you telling me that you brought the Montana and New York? Surely Montana demographically has more.
More people? No, they have more land.
Well, New York has more people than Montana as well.
Yes, New York City, I'm saying, has more people than Montana.
Okay.
The state, yes.
Yeah. So how is this happening when you say they want to pad the power? Let's say that. Padding their power.
Padding their power means, for instance, in I believe it's Minnesota. Minnesota's like a 50-50 state, like 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. But in their state houses, people who control the money, the resources, or whatever, the Republicans get more seats.
Why?
Because they have rigged it so that they have more seats in their control, even when it's less population. Like, for instance, if you have Detroit, which is in Wayne County, basically Detroit runs Wayne County. If we vote, we can get black people in. But out in Alpena or
Marquette,
Sanilac or Marquette or Kalamazoo or there's a whole lot of other counties that don't have hardly any black people, a lot. So they overwhelm us with the amount of land that they control and the counties that they control, even though Detroit has more people.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. They are keeping control even though they don't have the numbers to keep control.
That's unfair, Bruce, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely unfair. But we're talking about politics. We're not talking about fair.
Okay.
And this is what Joy is getting to as well. She says at the end of that clip, she said the Democrats are going to run a regular campaign against people who are not playing fair. They are out for blood. They want power, and they're going to get it any means necessary.
Got it.
So she's saying, how do you play? How do you bring a knife to a gunfight?
That's right.
How do you play chess when they playing checkers? They're playing a whole different game.
That's right. That's right.
And they have no shame in that game. They are doing it, and they know it's for power. And I think what Joy is saying, that we need politicians first who understand that these people have guns. Politically speaking, they have guns. They're trying to take power. They're trying to keep Black people from voting. They're trying to keep them from being registered. They're trying to make it seem that government doesn't help them. They're trying to do that. It's a multi-faceted approach where they're trying to keep Black people
and people of color,
white folk who are more liberal in their views. They are trying to keep them from being politically active so that they can control the power, which means they can control the politics, they can control who's getting tax breaks, they can control whose schools are funded, they can control how we pay for Social Security. All of these things they're trying to keep control so that they can stay in power.
You mentioned probably about 2 or 3 episodes ago, this isn't about money. It's about power. It is about power, which is power is having control, or having the resources to control.
I was going to say power, money can get you power. If you control the money, you control the resources, you have the power.
That's correct. That's correct. And Joy is saying that Blacks and people of color
and
are becoming the majority, or it's the majority now, just demographically the majority, but are losing to a person who controls the resources, controls the movement, controls the speaking, controls all of that. And I was going to ask, is this deliberate, or is this a covert operation?
No, I don't. Okay, so personally, to me, it's very obvious. It's been obvious. I will say I started really, really paying attention to politics like right before Obama started running. So I want to say 06, 07. That would make me about 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
That's too late. I missed all the Bush years. I missed all the Reagan stuff. Reagan was I was a kid. But in 2000 when Bush gets elected, second Bush, not his father, the George W. Bush, when he gets into office in 2000, I want to say, I'm 30 years old. And if you remember, I'm 30 years old, and that's to be thinking about it now, it's too late. And then when you start, it's too late because it's a lot of stuff that's been happening and you're not privy to, you don't understand the game that's happening. When you start to pay attention to the game and you do some history, you know that these Republicans have been doing this same stuff since the 60s, since before that. The Southern Strategy, Ronald Reagan, when he was, firing union workers. There was a time when Reagan actually took, first of all, college used to be paid for. Government would pay for that.
Remember you saying
they changed that under Reagan, So people started to have to pay. It became a racket. Now you have to take out a student loan. Okay. All this stuff has been the whole Reagan tax cuts, where the rich used to pay at one point back in the 60s, they used to pay like a 90% tax, Coop.
Mm-hmm.
And that would help to redistribute the wealth to people who needed it.
Yes.
Other people in our society. So you could have free college. You could have, and corporations paid their taxes too. Because everybody was was supposed to be giving back to the system. At some point, when Reagan lowered the tax rate for the wealthy,
yes,
they get to keep their money now. They don't have to pay it to the government. And then
get back.
Right, which helps the community. I'm talking about policemen, they your taxes go to education, it goes to a lot of stuff. So they did that. Then they shipped jobs overseas so they could pay the worker less. They broke unions
to keep my money.
You see what I'm saying? Yes, that's what I'm saying. To keep their money. So there used to be a point, and my barber, Dex, is a union worker. He works for Ford, and I sent him this stat. I think I sent it to you too, where at one point the CEOs of companies used to make like 4 or 5 times what the workers did.
Yeah. I remember you sending that.
Now it's like 200, 300 times what the workers make. So worker pay has not gone up. CEO pay has gone up. Like these CEOs are making $25, $22 million a year. Like who deserves that kind of money for what they do? Who really deserves that?
They do. They believe that. I'm saying. They believe that.
That's what I'm saying. This whole right-wing system where they think if the rich have more money, that will trickle down somehow to the common person has proven to be false.
Okay.
It's not correct because they keep their money. They don't give their money. They're not like these philanthropists who have too much money and they just give it away. That's not what they do. That's not what they do.
You brought up your barber Dex, and I was talking to my students today and my college students today. So this strike that's going on with our big three, this is that's political now. Remember, we always say it's political.
For sure.
They're wanting, if you're saying that CEOs, Ford, GM, and Stellantis.
Yeah, Stellantis used to be Chrysler.
Stellantis, are 200-300 times what the worker is making. These people that are on strike are deserving. They're deserving what they're even asking. This amount that they're asking, because you've got two sides that, oh no, they're asking for too much. It will never. What that is wanting to do is to keep even the power.
Yes.
At the labor level.
Yes.
At the labor level. There's no way you could be making, because my son works for one of the big three right now as well. And basically they're saying what they want is to, within 5 years, you'll be making 6 figures. I'm talking about not overtime, just salary, 6 figures.
Yeah.
The people that are above that are like, no, we're not doing that.
But that's what I'm saying. Yes, to keep their power. But think about that. If right now, I think the top at Ford, I think Dex told me like the top pay at Ford is like $32 an hour. What's the math on that? If we do $32 an hour and you work 5 days a week, you work 40 hours a week. You doing the math?
That's
$1,280.
That's $1,280 a week.
Okay, times 4. That's how much you make a month.
$5,000. 5,120.
times 12.
That's 61,000.
That's what you make a year.
Yes.
60,000 is what you make a year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even middle class? Like, can you raise a family of like a family of 2 or 4 on that?
Not in the state of California or in New York.
Remember last week I told you that black men on average make 42
Yeah.
grand a year. What happened? First of all, back in the 60s, these Chrysler, Ford, GM workers could live out here in the suburbs. They could send their kids to college on one salary.
Yes.
Now they can't do that. That doesn't happen. And so what's so deep seated about this is when the CEOs, the difference in the CEO pay from like when the crash happened for GM, when the crash happened, we had to bail them out. Remember that? The taxpayers bailed out the big three. Since then, like for the last 10 years or so, CEO pay, it might have been less than a 10-year span, has gone up 40%. They're making massive profits on these cars, okay? They're making massive profits on these cars. CEO pay, other people's pay has gone up 40%. So the workers say, you making all these profit is what you make after your expenses.
Net.
Okay?
Net.
You're making, they said in the first half of this year, Ford made $21 billion.
That's first 4 months. That's the first quarter. First 4 months. Yeah.
Profit. That's what they made in profit.
That means after everybody was paid. Everybody was paid.
This is what they made. This is how much money they have left over. This is how much they have gained. So workers are saying, well, you're going to give yourself a 40% raise. Give us a 40% raise. What's 40% of 32?
32 what? Billion?
$32.
Oh.
Tierra said it's $12.
12,800.
Okay, so you would add
12,800
to 61. That's 73 grand.
74 too, yeah.
Is that okay? Like I'm saying, these people, 40%, to be honest, for a person who's been there for you got to be there for years in order to even get the top pay.
Sure.
Once you get the top pay, that's it. That's where you top out. You're not going to make any more money.
That's the cap.
So is the top that you work for these companies for 20 years, the top you make is 74 grand. They don't make that now. I'm saying if they get the 40%. And then how much would it be for, like, how many billion do you need of your profit to give everybody a 40% raise? Like how many billion would that be? Would that wipe out all of your profit? The answer to that is no, not even close. No. Right. Not even close. Maybe $1 billion, maybe $2 billion. And you raise the well, Jason is saying 40%.
Oh, 86. Okay.
86 sounds like that's another 25 grand than they were making.
At 61. Okay, yeah.
$25,000 in a year's time when you didn't have that, that's pretty good. I'm saying, why can't workers make a livable wage? And this is the thing, because I had this same conversation with Dex before they went on strike, but we wasn't talking about union workers. You know who we was talking about? workers at McDonald's who wanted to make $20 an hour.
Yeah,
And
even before that 15.
Dex was like, hell no, they shouldn't make that much money. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you say that, Dex? How can you say that? You're a worker yourself. How can you say that somebody who works at McDonald's who is raising a family shouldn't have a livable wage? I was arguing for that before this. So now I just had this conversation with Dex, and he's like more on board now. It's funny how after stuff happens to you personally, you gain some empathy for the people who make less. You see what I'm saying? Before, you didn't have no sympathy. You was like, all they doing is flipping burgers. Or in your mind, you think all they are students. It's not just students working at McDonald's.
That's correct. That's correct.
How about this? I'm putting it to you this way. If you work at McDonald's or if you work at Walmart, Walmart is one of the biggest employers in the States. They're not paying $20 an hour. They're paying $12, $10 an hour. They was trying to say they're paying 14 or something like that. We already know at 14, you're not making 60 grand.
That's right.
If you have a family of 4, how can you do that? You can't. You can't send them to college. So basically what you're doing is you're continuing the poverty. That's what you're doing. And you know what those people do who are not making enough money? You know where they get money from?
Where?
Well, some of them are stealing from you. Literally, crime is my point. When people don't have enough resources, crime goes up. So if you give them more resources for the work that they're doing, the crime rate will come down. Number one. Yeah. Number two, people who don't have enough money and who are at the poverty rate, even though they're working, get welfare. Who pays for that?
You and I.
Yes. So we are subsidizing people who are working for these companies who make billions of dollars. Think about that. We, as taxpayers, subsidize workers who work for these companies that make billions because they won't pay their workers a livable wage. It used to be a thing where if you were in business, you can't be in business unless you can pay people a living wage, or nobody will work for you. And you won't be in business.
One of the workers said on the news, yeah, I work for Ford and have been. He said, I've been here 17 years. And I can't afford the truck that I build for you all every day.
Dude, the thing that Ford said, and Ford was a racist, by the way, I just want to put that out there. One of the things that Ford said was he wanted his workers to be able to buy the things that they made. That was
Ford said that. Henry Ford said that.
Yes. He wanted to have people who work for his company and they made enough money that they could buy their product.
No longer.
Dex told me the only way he can afford to buy the truck from Ford, and he works for Ford, is because he has a second job as a barber. That's the only way. How is that? And this is all, again, related to what Joy Reid is talking about. This is all related to it. It's all political. And we need to wake up. These people are playing for blood. They're not playing with us. And we're here talking about, she said in the clip, we're here talking about Biden's shoes. Remember they used to talk about Obama's tan suit. This is the stuff they're talking about. They're talking about shutting down the government so that you so that they can, you know, stop food stamps because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay for that no more. That's what these Republicans are doing. And we're talking about, this is the thing that kills me, Coop. We are talking about, well, Biden is too old. Huh? Trump is old. They're 3 years apart. You're telling me you're going to vote for a man. You want to vote for a man who, when he came and claimed he was going to support the unions, went to a non-union shop. That's who you are. You are going to vote for the man who his labor department was headed by an anti-unionist. That's who you're voting for? Because Biden is old? Huh? Or because Biden fell off a bike? Or because Biden tripped on a sandbag? Is this what we doing now? Is this what we doing?
You're majoring in minors.
Yes.
You're majoring in minors.
Thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. What are we talking about? We're talking about a man who said he wants to disallow the Constitution. He's talking about when he gets back in office, he is going to pardon the people who went to the Capitol on his commands. He's going to pardon them. He's going to put other people in charge who are going to do exactly what he wants, and we know what he wants to do. And then this is the thing. Then you got some black people talking about, we should vote for Trump. Dex told me a guy came into the barbershop. Check this out. A guy came into the barbershop who said, I'm voting for Trump because under Trump, I got 2 checks.
Stimulus, talking about the stimulus checks.
Yes. The stimulus checks that we needed for COVID because he refused to do anything about COVID. Wouldn't tell us the truth. Told us, in fact, to drink bleach. That's what this man did. And we gonna take him seriously? You gonna bring him back? You're a joke.
Cognitive dissonance.
It's so unbelievable.
What this is.
It's like I said, it's so obvious to me. It's so clear. And we haven't even talked about the fact this man is under 4 federal indictments.
Man, I'm just looking at the notes, Jason. At $20 an hour, you're only making $38,000 a year.
That's not a livable wage.
That's not a livable wage. Now, a person could probably say, sure, it is in rural Iowa.
Maybe. I don't even know. I would say no.
I'm saying those type of places. It's, those type of places. Do you need $84,000, $86,000, and you live in Des Moines? Cost of living is lower. Houses are cheaper. Gas is cheap. All of this stuff. So that's probably what their argument is. You all don't need this. And what you're saying is this is a undermined and underhanded way to keep what's happening to America. We talked about this in probably episode 2 or 3 of the browning of America. This thing is the immigration. You're allowing the American dream to happen. Come on over, and you have this land of opportunity. But that kind of has backfired now because the people that are coming here want what has been told to them to have. But you're like, no, we're not. We can't do that. But as I think Sandra said this, that horse has already left the barn. We're out. And now you're trying to, what can I do to circumvent? What can I do to disarm this whole
Yes.
this machine that it's
Mhm.
rolling? It is rolling. And when you talk about waking up, how many? If we're strong in numbers, which they know, what's going to happen? That's my thing. So what's our recourse? What's our recourse? What's the minority that are becoming the majority? What's
Mhm.
our recourse? How do you take the power? How do you take the power back? Because here's the thing. Are you saying that if you get this, would you do the same thing?
No, I don't.
Would you
Well,
do
I
the
don't.
same thing?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I
I
think
mean, yeah,
that's part of, you have to get to know yourself and what you are fighting for politically and stuff like that, and you gotta be consistent. So, and I don't think black people, by and large, on average, are like that. Black people are community oriented. We want what's best for the community. It shouldn't be about how much I can make. It's how much we can help those who are around us. So that's really what it should be. Um, a lot of us though have bought into this idea that it's about me, me, me. It's this individual white European way of thinking about things and thinking about money like it's finite, like I need to have it all. F you. And I just don't think that is ideologically, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's not where we should be.
you hit this on the head when you talked also about the 60s, because Martin Luther King talked about this in one piece. He talked about in 1865 when the Emancipation Proclamation took place, what was supposed to take place as far as land. Government was giving out subsidies and these types of things to black
Mhm.
folks. We were supposed to get these things. And at that time, it wasn't Browning. It was really just us. The immigration uh, push hadn't happened. People from other countries weren't coming here as they are now. And he mentioned also that you want us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and
We don't have no boots.
have no boots or even have any belts, any straps to even put up on our shoulders. So this thing is it's deliberate. We talked in
Yes.
episode 2 or 3 of these backroom code conversations are taking place.
Hmm.
Uh, I even believe that probably even in more personal dinner tables, they're speaking specifically to it, but uh, we don't know that. But there are code words that are going around to let us know, to let those that are involved in it know, oh, we're keeping this. We're keeping this going. We will keep this going.
I think there could be also. I think some Republicans believe they're doing the right thing because the language has become deracialized. Let me explain. Back when they were doing the Southern Strategy back in the 70s, one of the guys who's over, I forget his name, it'll come to me. He said you can't say the N word out loud anymore because then people know what who you're talking about. They know you're talking about black people. So instead of saying the N word, what we're going to do now is we're going to say states' rights. States' rights doesn't say black. We're going to say small government. Small
Mm-hmm.
government doesn't say black. It says we want a small government. When we say small government, we want a government that's small so we don't have to do anything for y'all. You see what I'm saying? We
Yes,
want a
yes,
small government.
yes.
We want to lower taxes. We want to lower taxes. Lower taxes doesn't sound racial, but they're trying to. If you lower taxes, that means that the government has less to spend on people who may need it,
And programs
and
for
programs and all of it.
underprivileged.
So their language changed to things that were not racialized. So now these Republicans who have just taken on the language think that they're doing something that's not racialized when it is. It's always been.
Urban renewal.
All of it, Coop. There's a racial component. We say this all the time. What issue or industry does not involve race?
Yeah.
I can't name one.
Jason,
And
if
I'm
you can
telling
put
you,
up that Southern strategy.
I'm
Jason,
telling you,
put up Southern strategy if we can find that, what that was about, the Southern strategy.
I'm telling you that the words that they use now are a way for them to continue the system that keeps people of color down. And other people have bought into it thinking that it's going to help us all, and it's not helping us all. It was all from the beginning a ploy. All of it. When they say they want to have ID when you vote, and then tell you that there are certain IDs we're not going to allow, like student IDs. Nope, that don't count. But your gun ID or your gun registration will count. So do you see what's happening there? So they're telling the young people who they know will vote Democrat, your student ID won't work, but the gun registration, and they know white folk are into these guns, the NRA and all that kind of stuff, that will work. So overall, we're going to target the people with our policies that will help us without talking about race. That's what they've done. That's what the game has become. And back in the 70s, it was happening, which means it was happening in the 80s. It was happening in the 90s. It was happening in 2000s, 2010s. It's happening right now. It's happening right now.
I want to talk about this some more at another time.
But before we go,
okay.
You talked about what's the solution? How do we get the power back?
Yes.
So first, you got to pay attention to the game. You got to know what's going on. I tell my barber, you gotta listen to politics. I think it's funny that all these union workers, they know everything that's happening in their union because it's about how much money they're gonna make, what their benefits are gonna be. They know it. They know who is for them. They know who's against them. They know it all, which means they understand politics. They get it.
Yes.
Now expand that to a national understanding of what politics does. Don't just listen to what you're talking about as far as the UAW. What are these Republicans doing? What are the Democrats doing? Who is putting forth policies that will help union workers? Who are breaking unions? Who are supporting non-union shops? Start paying attention. And when you pay just a little bit of attention, it becomes very clear who's on your side and who's not on your side, who should do better and who's doing terribly, who I can help, who nobody's is going to help them because they're against me. But you got to pay attention, and then you got to vote these losers out. You got to vote them out. That's how you get some power back.
That's how you get some power back. Yeah, I was saying that I want to continue with this at another time because it's gonna, as that resolution happens, because they're on day 18, I believe they are right now. I want to bring in person he was my boss down in Huntsville, Alabama, a gentleman by the name of David Person. I think he's a great person to talk to. I think he would contribute to this type of conversation uh, in a strong way. He's got some political ideologies and also more in the line of also what you're talking about as far as just waking up as people of color and what's happening to kind of get some of this as you call it, the power back. We need to get some of that back. So yes, yeah, that's good stuff there. Um, let's shift gears, as I tell my students. Let's shift gears a little bit. And Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the New York Jets. If you're not aware, the New York Jets acquired Aaron Rodgers this year from the Green Bay Packers, and in his fourth play of the game, he blew his Achilles out, and he's been out. He's going to be out the rest of this season. He's 39 years old. He'll be coming back as a 40-year-old. But Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the New York Jets stating he'd like to have a workout, but also be on their practice squad. Now, Cap has not played in, if I'm correct, 6 seasons. Has it been 6 seasons? I think it's been 6 seasons that he's not played. But it appears the gentleman, he's still in the type of shape. And even today, I believe he's probably better than some of the backup quarterbacks that are there. But I guess the question is, was people are saying that he blew his opportunity when the NFL allowed him to, was setting up a workout for him, and Cap decided not to do that and have his own workout. And because of that, he won't ever get another opportunity again. Not because, also because of that, but because the whole thing with people are police brutality and on paid leave, all of that. The argument to that was that Brian Flores, who is the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, brought a case against the NFL, and it was brought that he was saying that the owner was wanting him to throw games and would pay him a certain amount of money. It appears that he beat that case. There was a settlement for Brian, but he's now coaching again in the NFL as the defensive coordinator. So they're saying that Cap could actually come back if he wanted to do that, even though he was settled. There was a settlement made with him as well, and that he could come back. I would like to discuss that. Could Cap come back? Should he want to come back? And I'm believing, since he's put this letter out, if we can see some of the statements there, I know that's maybe a little bit off. I want to kind of zoom in on a couple of those statements, sentences that he was saying on there to say, can he come back? Can it be, is he going to be given a chance? Shannon Sharp on First Take stated, it's the owners that are not allowing him back. The owners don't run the commissioner. The owners run the commissioner. Commissioner can't make this. It's going to be the owners, the 32 owners saying, yeah, give him this opportunity. And so if he's writing this letter, can it happen even in year 6, 7 for him? What do you all think?
The answer to can it happen is yes. The answer to will it happen is no. These white owners are not into it. It's just that simple. I mean, I just don't like this. I don't like any of this where we are second guessing what Kaepernick did. There was a whole issue why he had a second workout, because he would have had to sign a contract, and in the contract they were trying to get him to sign his rights away, and he wasn't going to do that. So I just don't understand how people keep bringing this stuff up like it's Kaepernick's fault. None of it.
That's right.
It's Kaepernick's fault. And I'm tired of this argument that somehow by standing up for police brutality, which is real, the owners can make it so that it's not about them, which it is. It's about Kaepernick. Was never about Kaepernick. Never.
Yeah.
It was never about Kaepernick. They don't want him in the league because he points out their racism. Clear.
Scapegoat.
If you let him back, then his platform grows.
Whoa. And that's something we don't want.
We can't have it.
Yeah, I don't want the covers pulled back any more than they already are.
That's what I'm saying. And by keeping it so that he doesn't come back, they are complicit. All of these guys have the power, and they keep. Before it was, well, our fans won't like it.
Yeah, they want Taylor Swift, as Jason says. Yeah, they want Taylor. That's here's the word. That's a good whitewashing. Let's show Kelsey and his girlfriend, who's a star. He's a star.
One of the biggest stars in the world. It's to the point where last night I saw on Twitter there was like NBC is like they are what'd they say? It's like they're going crazy for Taylor Swift. She's not playing a down. I mean, you have the announcers talking about her more times than certain parts of the game. And I'm like, what?
Absolutely. FanDuel, which is a gambling site, says they got money on how many camera cuts to her in the scene. I counted 3 last night. I mean, they were on last night. I counted 3. Okay, I saw 3 exactly. I'm thinking people are gambling to say, oh, it's going to be more than 3. What's the over under on shots of Taylor Swift? So Cap, you say no, he's not. Will it? Can it? Sure. Will it? No.
No, it won't.
Because there's some protection there too. Like, I gotta protect this. There goes the shield. You want to protect the shield, and we're not for. We don't need this. We don't need any more of this. This motivation, this to put a damper on our league. We've kind of had enough of that.
And I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for him because this is telltale about how racist our society is. And it's right in front of our face. But we want to talk about Biden's shoes, or we want to talk about
Taylor
Swift. We want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the issues. And then when stuff blows up, we keep trying to act like we're gonna have our discussion about race now. We never have the discussion about race because they don't really want to have that. Because having the discussion about race shows their guilt. And when you know you're guilty, you have to do something to make amends. And they don't want to make amends. They don't want that. They is funny.
They don't want to make amends the way you want me to make amends. I'm sorry.
No, they don't want to make amends at all. They barely did they even apologize to Kaepernick?
No.
You don't apologize. Now I heard there's a show that I think everybody should watch. It's on ESPN now. It's called Skin in the Game. Where they talk about the intersection between politics and sports. Ibram X. Kendi is the host, and they talk a little bit. I think it's in season. I think it's in episode 1. It's like 4 or 5 episodes right now, and Kaepernick comes up in part of it, and they talk about John Carlos and them raising the fist at the '68 Olympics in the first episode. There has always been an economic backlash for athletes who stand up for Black issues. Always. And it is in our face. And this is why I feel so bad for certain athletes, like even what Muhammad Ali went through. Like,
right,
why? What Colin Kaepernick had his career taken.
That's correct. For standing up for something that was right.
And then these Republican dudes want to be mad when they say something racist and they want to complain about cancel culture. They are the ones who took this man's career.
His livelihood, yes.
And I feel bad about it. Like, I feel bad even watching the games. I try not to watch the games, try not to go to no games, because it's like a kick on your neck. And then you become complicit in it. And it's bad.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely skin in the game is something we need to check that out. If you're those that are listening, viewers, watch that. That's really a must watch. Have you seen all 5 episodes, Bruce, or is it you just in? Okay,
I just saw episode 1, and they're like 20-30 minutes long. It's not like they're really long.
Sure.
But they had athletes on there that I didn't even know went through this thing. They talked about a guy who was at Mississippi State, and he arrived. He was one of the best athletes coming out of high school. So he stays at Mississippi State, stays at home, goes to Mississippi State. A couple days on campus, he sees in somebody's dorm room or whatever this Confederate flag through the window in the dorm room. They go and confront the dude, and basically dude was like, "Get the F on," whatever.
Yeah.
And he becomes a star there. And at a point he says, "Listen," he writes a letter like to the governor or to the AD, I forget who it was, basically because Mississippi still had the Confederate flag as part of their state flag.
Yes.
He wrote a Twitter, and he addressed it to all these people in government and said, basically, "I'm not playing another game if this flag continues to fly." And he said, "I'm not playing. I'm tired." These people took the flag. They took that flag out. They took the Confederate flag off the Mississippi flag. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild. It's Olympians who have gone through this. We talked about Kaepernick. We don't talk about Mahmoud Abdul Rauf at all. Chris Jackson. We don't talk about him. I call him the first Steph Curry.
Right.
This stuff is rampant, is what I'm saying. It happens a lot. It happens all the time. And we're not privy to it. We just allow it to keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. Use our political power for good.
Get in some, as the great Lewis taught, get into some good trouble.
Yep.
Get into some trouble. Well, yeah, I think that may be our close tonight for for that tonight.
So are you saying the I'm just saying is just everybody get in some trouble, some good trouble?
Yeah, and I was actually gonna say that too. That I was gonna go there with John Lewis, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
John
it's
Lewis
not
was his
John Lewis.
about getting into some good trouble because I think um, there's some things going on with my university down in Huntsville, Alabama, where some people are being kept quiet or about some things as it relates to the administration and the direction it should be going and all these things. And some things are happening to people. People are being fired because they've spoken up on some
Hmm.
things and some issues. And I continue to just go back to John Lewis, get into some good trouble.
Hmm.
Um, put yourself in the situation. And there goes the spiritual piece of it too, from a religious standpoint, that standing for what is right, you it's okay to do that. Sometimes we believe you don't want to say anything because you don't want to ruffle, or you're not going to be invited to this or that in a different culture that we're in or that have been in. You won't be invited to these certain things, but these things continue to happen
Hmm.
and you're quiet. You're kind of scrolling through the comments of these things, but you're not saying anything. As you say, wake up, get involved in some of this stuff, and get involved to the standpoint that what you're saying, it resonates with those that are in power, and it can grow into not just you, but some other people can get involved in that too, and really make some change. And I think that's what's important. Totally, I believe that's what's important.
All right. Well, let's end it then. Put
In
me up
good things.
first.
Yeah, yeah. No, mine. I think that was mine. So he. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was Coops. Mine is listen. I say this a lot. I try to tell this to as many people as possible. Um, I'm 52. I'll be 53 this year, and I feel like I spent a lot of my youth paying attention to stuff that really wasn't real. Um, and I think we need to pay attention to the things that are real. We have to keep the main thing the main thing. First, you have to know what the main thing is. Um, Part of that is you have to understand and learn who you are, and what you want to be about, what you want to be remembered for. Um, are you here to help people? Are you um, here to just get yours? If that's what it is, that's unfortunate. Um, we all should be here to help some people. Um, and the way we can help people, I think, is to start paying attention to this political stuff that's happening. This political stuff, people call it a game. I guess it is sort of a game, but it's the game of life. It's the game of resources. It's the game that um, helps people's lives. It's about education. It's about, um, like I said, resources. It's about taxes. It's about um, school loans. It's about, you know, who gets access to car loans or home loans, or
Mhm.
um, it's a lot that is involved in this politics thing, and it affects each of us. It affects each of us. And you have some of these people who are in these powerful political positions, and they're not there to help people. They're there to help themselves. They try to act like they're there for people, but they're not there for people. And once you start paying attention, you can start to hear them, and you can start to understand when they say this thing, they mean this thing. And that's not for me. That's not to help people. Even if it doesn't help you, it helps people. If they're not there to help people, then they're in a powerful position for themselves. And we got to be hip to that game. Pay attention. Spend some time. 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a week. Start doing something where you're paying attention and seeing what these people are doing. I'm just saying.